Hello, everybody. Welcome to Wednesday. This week, we're lucky enough to have Jo Bradley back with us. She's been on the show before, so it's really nice to have her back and ask some more questions on a really fascinating subject, which is anything from physical mediumship to transfiguration to trance itself. So, Jo, over to you. How are things going since we last spoke in terms of all your fabulous circles that you run and courses?
Thanks, Nicole. Thanks, Lisa, for having me back.
Welcome.
It's been ages since I've seen both of you ladies in the flesh, isn't it?
I
Um,
know.
yeah, really busy actually. I teach right across the world, obviously via Zoom now. So I had to get used to that and get used to technology, and I'm not a technology person at all. But it's surprising, I think, how many people have had to adapt, isn't it? So
Yeah,
yeah, it's going really well, really
good.
well. Trance is the main focus. That's what people tend to want to learn at the moment.
Yeah. And how does that work out with the online? Do you find it affects the work at all?
No, not really. I mean, yes, the energy is very different if you're sitting in the same room compared to sitting in your own rooms, in your own
Yeah.
home. But I suppose it's opened up the world a lot for people, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if we hadn't have had all of this, we probably wouldn't be doing the majority of our work on Zoom. So it was quite an experiment to start off with. I didn't know whether it was going to work or not, but it really does. So
Mm,
yeah, no difference really, other than, everyone can kind of access the tutors all around the world that they want to
yeah.
access. So
Yeah.
in that respect, always a good
Wow.
and a negative.
Yeah. Fantastic. Wow.
What I was going to ask, Jo, with the trance, do you feel everybody has got the capability of doing it, or do you feel it is a gift?
Well, it's a bit like picking up a musical instrument. We can all make a sound. Some are average, some are poor, some are really good. So I do think that everyone has the ability to sit to learn how to sit for trance. So the first level of trance is daydreaming. Everyone can daydream.
Mm.
If you can daydream, you can learn to sit in an altered state. Now, whether it's going to be your leading sensitivity, no one knows till you try it. So yes, I'd have to say yes, everyone has the capability to reach some sort of level of a trance state. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
what confused me, Joe, and what still kind of confuses me is how you how you get those first words. I mean, is the medium getting this information like we do in mental mediumship and then saying, or are they completely unaware that they're speaking?
Yeah.
It's just getting those first few words out. I wonder whether we have to, we might feel inspired to say good evening. Should we just say good evening
Yeah.
or wait for spirit to actually say it? That's where I think people get
Yeah.
confused.
I think people, on average, trance takes 7 years on average
Wow.
to develop. And that's sitting every single week. So there's a lot of dedication involved in it.
Yeah.
Um, I think people think that you can sit into a trance, sit down and go into a deep trance and have no memory of it. And the amount of students that will contact me and say, I've only done it once, I sat there, apparently this man spoke through me, I had no memory. Now, I'm not saying that that isn't possible, but it is incredibly rare for that to ever happen. So the majority of the time when you sit for trance, it will be 99% you, 1% the guide. And gradually over a period of time, the blending gets deeper and deeper. Now,
Oh,
yes,
I
you
see.
will hear the words as they go through your mind, and it will get to a point where it's really pressed upon you, and you can't resist but actually open your mouth and speak those words. So it's a slow process, but also it's because we hear the words and we feel all the feelings that go with it that make us actually doubt because we're human. Because the
Yeah.
majority of us sit there and we don't want to delude anyone. We don't want to think it's us. I remember the first couple of years that I did trance. there might be a few words that would come through, and I would come back out of the trance state and say, "Oh, take no notice of that. It's me. Don't take any notice," because that's how it feels. So you have to sit with someone who you really trust, who isn't going to write everything down to start off with. And also the other thing is, if you have someone who sits with you to help you develop, they've got to have a willingness just to embrace the guide and say, "Hi, thank you for coming. Lovely to see you." Some people get overexcited. They think the first few words, "Hi, what's your name? Where were you born? Did you walk the earth plane? Did you get married? How many kids? Where were you buried?" Now, bearing in mind, you, the instrument, can hear all of that. So we start to close down because then we think, "Oh, they don't believe it's a real guide. They think it's me." And so it's an incredible, difficult journey. I always say that trance is the hardest out of all of the disciplines. You do trance, don't you?
Yeah,
Well, I've done, yeah, we've done some lessons
Yeah.
with yourself, Joe, and, you know, in fact, that was absolutely wonderful. But I thought, you know, it's just that confident, and you've cleared that up beautifully for me, because I've always felt, you know, I feel like I just want to say good evening, but I've not, because I've been waiting for something else to happen. And, you know, that's maybe what's stopped the development there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
I mean,
brilliant.
it helps them to link the mind with the vocals.
Sure.
Now, if you really resisted that, eventually it would get to a point where you wouldn't be able to stop it coming out, because it would be almost like you would feel like you're being throttled and the words would just come out. An easier, gentler way of getting into that, obviously, is the thoughts will be really pressed upon you, really pressed upon you. And some guides literally like their medium just to be going, "I'm just going to speak the words, start you off." I call it starting them off, start the guide off. It gets you over that human aspect as well, because we want to be in control. We're control freaks, aren't we? We control every single aspect of our life.
Yeah.
When we're going to get up, when we're going to go shopping, when we're getting in the shower, when we're going to eat, when we're going to go to bed. Trance, we have to hand all of that over. That's a biggie. That's the biggest thing we can do.
Yeah.
So I always say a gentle way of easing into that is when the guide really starts to press upon you the words that you speak. Now that's more an overshadowed state. But you don't go from 0 to full trance in a couple of sittings. You will go to that overshadowed state. That's the in-between state. And then as you grow in confidence, you will relax more. You won't be worried what comes out of your mouth. You won't be worried about how people are receiving this person. So you will relax and automatically start to move away. I teach a technique my guide called it the loop. And the loop is about multitasking you, the medium. So you have your job in trance and the guide has their job. So we keep them separate. Easy. In your job, you'll be multitasking within yourself. The more you multitask, the less ability you have to interfere with the guide as the guide comes in. So there's little tricks we use.
Wow, interesting. And Stacey's asking, how did you first get into trance mediumship?
Well, I didn't go looking for it, let me put it that way.
So often we don't for things.
And I thought I was dying. That's the honest truth. I thought I was dying. I thought I was being killed in my chair. In fact, in my book, I think I wrote The Peculiar State of Trance. And I'm probably one of the biggest control freaks you can ever meet. So to me, it was a very painful physical experience as well, because I was growing, like really growing, and I felt like my chest was going to rip open and an alien was going to pop out. So, you know, trance can be really, really uncomfortable, which is why you have to keep out of it. But it was thrust upon me. I didn't go looking for it at all. I remember I went to the College of Psychic Studies many, many years ago, and I met a wonderful man there. And we've remained firm friends ever since. And he's a wonderful trance medium. And we used to get together once or twice a month, small group of us, and we'd invite our friends round. And we would just experiment, because our tutor was Tony Stockwell. And Tony is a great person to say, experiment. Don't put any boundaries in, just experiment. So set your intention and say, I'm here, you know, how would you like to use me? And so therefore this trance was thrust upon me. So yeah, I didn't know what was going on.
Oh,
Really didn't know what was
fabulous.
going on. But, yeah.
Yeah. Quite scary, I would imagine, at the beginning.
Not really scary, as in working with the guides, but it was from a physical point of view. It was painful, and I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I've always been one of these people that I'm completely intrigued. Show me something, do it again, do it again. So I kind of get dragged into things, and then before you know it, you're working with it, aren't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And
Well,
Paul is asking, can you be locked into a trance state?
as in not able to get out?
Yeah, I suppose.
No, no. Well, actually, yes, you can, but not when you are. We're only talking in very, very, very extreme, very rare cases when someone has a full possession. So, you know, the entity or the whatever we call it, I always refer to it as an it, but it is very, very, very rare. If you were sitting to develop trance, absolutely not, no. And you're probably more protected when you're sitting for trance than you are any other time, because there is a team of doctors there. They're checking you, they're monitoring, you know, your heart rate, your pulse, and all of this. And also, you would put good safety in place as well. I think what people worry about is that the guide is just going to pop in and out at will. Well, that's not going to happen. And also, the other thing is the souls that work with us are generally people like us. They want to work with us. They don't want to scare us. So they're not going to do something that's really going to put you off and you go, that's it, I'm not doing it again. So people shouldn't really worry about that.
Yeah, good. Okay. Okay. And Stacey's asking, is that why you need someone with you when you're doing it?
Well, in the early stages, no, not really. But if suddenly a guide spoke through and there's no one in the room to greet them, there's no point. So it's always advisable to have someone there just to say, hello, welcome, even if they don't get a response. When I do my training courses online, I do like 4 lessons, which is a beginner's course. And in those lessons, you don't need anyone with you, because actually you're learning to do your job in trance. Then after that, I suggest that you are sitting with people. So after that, I do an 8-week course, which I call the intermediate course. And there's all of you at the same level. And I say to the group, try and set up a practice group. One of you must remain fully conscious at all times, and the rest of you practice, and you keep switching around. So that's why we do it.
Yeah.
So going on from that, Jo, then, would you always need somebody there with you asking the person in trance questions or not?
Asking the guide, yeah, but asking questions of a guide comes a long way down the road.
Yeah.
The first couple of years when someone is actually speaking through you, the person should just be going, hi, thanks. Great to see you again. What do you want to talk about today?
Yeah.
You know? Otherwise, it's going to be the medium will keep surfacing and trying to answer the questions, and the information is wrong.
Yeah. And do you think it's more of a rarity for trance circles, Jo, because it's so difficult to get regular sitters to stay in that group? You know, things for reasons they fizzle out, or maybe that they're just not meant to be. I don't know. It's very odd.
I think circle members of physical mediumship circles are harder to find. Not everyone is suitable to sit in that type of circle. Their energy has to be really right. Their attitude has to be right. With trance circles, I mean, I've had, up until we had lockdown, I had a trance circle that used to sit here every Monday. But it was a development circle, so it was a bit like, they didn't have to come every week if they didn't want to. They came to fit their timescale. So I think most traditional trance circles really is a development circle or practice circle. So I have got a wonderful colleague who's actually got a trance circle. She actually took it over from me. I just didn't have enough time. So she actually took over a fortnightly trance circle. So people have got the opportunity to then join her group just for practice. It's not teaching, it's just practice. Trance, once you've got the mechanics of trance, it is the dedication of developing it week in, week out.
Yeah.
You know, once you've got the technique, there isn't really, I mean, yeah, we push the boundaries. I'm known for pushing the boundaries later, aren't I? So yes, I would do sort of like advanced courses and things like that, where I would really push the boundaries of the guide and the medium's blend. But ordinarily, a trance circle, once you know what you're doing, what you've got to do, which is very easy really compared to what the guides have to do, you just got to sit and keep giving them time so that the two of you can blend and just keep moving forward in the development. It's exciting though as well, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And Stacey's asking, Jo, can you sit on your own and just record the session?
Well, you can do, but again, like I say, you need someone to greet someone when they come through.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
but maybe but could you could sit and develop maybe on your own, could you? And, you know, maybe sit every day for however long and just maybe can you just invite your trance guide to come in and just blend and do what they need to do?
Yeah, of course you can. Part of the trance state, though, is when it gets to a certain level, the trance control wishes to do what I call an overlay. Now, the overlay is where you are literally, the whole body, everything has an overlay of energy over it. Because if you think about it, when we sit and talk, do we sit just like that and talk just straight like that? No, we don't. If we've got people in the room, oh, hi, how are you? Oh, do come in, come sit down, sit down. Now, a lot of our personality comes from the movements that we give. So in order for a guide to really come through, part of their blending process is to be able to fully control the medium so that people can go, oh, hello, know who this is coming through. So the overlay really, and also the overlay on the second point of that, is very visual, or it can be. You can get people that will go to a trance demo and they'll phone you up and they'll go, I went to a transfiguration demonstration last night. I go, oh, what did you? Who was the medium? Oh, that's trance. Oh, but I could see aspects of the guide. Yes, that's the overlay. So also, you know, the sitter isn't just there to receive, but it's also to give feedback to a guide. So yes, it's fine to sit on your own, but I think you would probably only get to a certain point with your trance. Because there has to be that feedback.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. And Paul is asking, is it tiring doing a trance sitting?
No, I don't find it tiring. Depends. If I feel tired before I do it, then I feel tired afterwards. If I feel fine before, then I feel fine afterwards.
Yeah.
And have you found, Jo, over, I mean, you've been doing this for many, many years, but how are your spirit team evolving with you? Are they bringing in new guides for you all the time, or are they what's happening for evolution for you?
Bring in new guides, but we do experiment a lot. So of course I do the physical mediumship, which is what I'm probably more known for. So we've been developing the work using cameras, filming, trying out different techniques with different lights. So at the moment we're working on trying to get etherealization on film so that people can then watch etherealization from the comfort of from their home. All of these things though take time. So constantly the guides will evolve, but my guides don't really change anymore. You know, it's the team. They know how to, you know, get the best from my energy, and I completely trust them. And they also know I've got no boundaries. I'll try it. If it works, great, and if it doesn't, oh well. doesn't work. We've tried it.
Yeah.
I think most people put the limitations on themselves and their gifts here. It's never going to be from the other side. So as long as you're just got this willingness to be used and for them to experiment with your energy, who knows what they can create.
Yeah.
And I think I've been doing this over 20 years now. And I think if my mediumship hadn't evolved, I think it wouldn't have held my intrigue for as long. You know, and I think also allowing them to experiment with cameras, because if you go to a traditional seance, they say, switch all the lights off, no cameras, no metal, none of this, none of that. And I'm like, I can't get my head around that. So I'm not criticizing anyone. I can't get my head around it because we use red lights. We have metal trumpets. So if you're not allowed metal in the room as a metal trumpet, if you think about it, most of the time when you go to a demo like that, most of the chairs have metal legs. So I don't understand the metal thing about it at all, unless it's just sensitivity with we all have different sensitivities, whether it's with the medium. I've always said, if it's real, we can photograph it. If it's real, we can video it, can't we? So I probably go against a lot of the, the traditional do's and don'ts. But I think in the early days, I wanted to know it was real. I wanted to know that I wasn't having some sort of, delusional episode. So to start off with, it was very much about me going, oh yeah, I can see that in the picture. That's what you said it looked like. Oh my God. And then of course that just evolved because it was like, well, I'm not getting rid of the cameras now. You can use them, so we'll carry on with them. So, and one classic thing that people say to me, like, you can't dictate to your guides. You can't dictate to your guides. I don't dictate to the guides. You can't dictate to your spirit team. We are part of the spirit team. Without a member in the spirit team, then they can't move forward. And I think people forget that. So it's not that we're dictating, but they also understand that this part of the spirit team lives here in the physical world, as you ladies do. So what our expectations or our hopes and desires are always going to be very different to theirs. And to be honest, most of the guides that work through trance and physical are highly intelligent. They've got all these new scientists that pass over all the time, taking all the modern day technologies, they know how it works. I think they like the challenge too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think you're right. I think we do put a lot of anchors and barriers upon ourselves, don't we? When, there needn't be all of these barriers. And maybe we would just experience so much more. But what fascinates me is the apports. I mean, have you ever witnessed apports, Joe?
Hundreds.
Wow.
In daylight.
It's amazing. It's just... But
I've
the
seen
only way I
them
can...
They're there and just drop.
Yeah. The only way I can get my head around how they are doing that is because they understand energy and that these objects are not really physical, and they must be able to manipulate the molecular structure back to the consciousness that it was made from originally, to then take that and reconstruct it. Is that how they do it?
No, what they do is they'll take an object and they will quicken the vibration, the frequency of it.
Oh, right, okay.
When something vibrates a lot quicker, we don't see it. If you imagine, you're waving your hand, we can see it.
Right.
So, when you see something, something's spinning, but you don't actually see it spinning because it's spinning so fast. So what they do is they literally will take the object. They never still, by the way. They'll take the object, they will quicken the vibration until it vibrates so much it's invisible in our world. And then they'll move it to wherever they want. They slow the vibration back down and it becomes solid again in our world.
How fascinating. Yeah, and that makes total sense. Yeah. You say they don't steal, so they borrow, do they, Jo? Do they return these objects?
No, normally, if they're bringing you a gift, it will be something that maybe has been made in the earth for a long time. They don't physically go into people's houses and steal things, you know, just to give you a gift or something or to prove a point. So it will be objects, most objects have been lost. You know, otherwise we'd get things missing out of museums and jewelers' shops and all sorts, wouldn't we, all over the world? You can imagine that. Oh, we've had the spirits here last night. They reported the diamond ring. You know, so but also the other thing about apports is an apport should carry the same evidential value as a piece of information.
Yeah.
So a lot of people will get coins. That's a very easy thing for them to do. So maybe the coin is brought to you that has got your birth year on it. One coin was brought to someone, and on the back it had a Scottish crest. It was a Scottish crest. And I looked at it and I said, "Oh, is it your birth year?" And he went, "No." And I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. It should have evidential value." He said, "That's my family crest." Okay, that's fine. That'll do. So these things should have an evidential value behind them. It's not just about bringing an apport.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't really get things like crystals and stuff like that. It will be other things. So over a 2-day period, few years back, I had a series of handwritten notes that were reported. So I would literally just speak out like, "Guys, oh, can you tell me bloody blah?" And a note would just drop down, handwritten.
Wow.
So, and that obviously displays direct writing as well, meaning spirit has written that note, no human has touched a pen or the paper, and they will write down and then bring it to you. Interestingly though, when the apports arrive, they're warm to the touch to start off with, and that's because the vibration they've been heated up, haven't they, to move them. When they bring them back here, they're warm, sometimes so warm that you can't touch them for a few minutes.
Wow. God, it's just so amazing and so clever.
Yeah.
But quite rare, is it, Jo?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if it's quite rare or not. Many people will, you know, find something on their living room floor. They've hoovered, there's nothing there. They'll go out of the room, they'll come back, they'll pick something up. So it's a gift from a loved one or a guide. I think it's if the energy is right.
I was just about to say
That's
that,
what
you know,
you do.
quite often, even
Yeah.
in your own home, you get things, don't you, that makes no
Yeah.
logical sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, but interesting.
Yeah.
Mm.
And obviously then you've got assports, which is when they'll take something away.
Yes, that keeps happening to me at the moment.
Yeah. They generally, though, will return them. They generally move things just to get your attention.
Yeah. Or
So,
change
you know,
clocks. Have you ever had that where they change times on clocks?
yeah.
Yeah.
And also the other thing is our world is no barrier to them at all.
Sure.
Our world isn't solid to them, you see. So
Yeah.
it's no barrier to them.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever walked around in trance?
Well, I have. I've danced in trance apparently
Oh, wow.
as well. Yeah.
That's amazing.
There was now I can't remember what the physical medium's name was, but there was a physical medium many years ago, and she was a physical medium as well as the trance medium, and she would be sat maybe on her sofa, go into a trance, and she would be stood up, walked over to her piano, and beautiful music would be played. When she wasn't in a trance, she couldn't play a single note. So yes.
Funny you should say that. I mean, from our trance circle, Paul, I mean, he won't mind me mentioning his name, he actually felt compelled to almost speak French, didn't he?
Yeah.
Not with us, but when he was practicing at home.
Yeah.
Which is just, wow.
You can speak in tongues, yeah.
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 There is no barrier.
No.
at all.
And he was amazing, wasn't he, Nicole? Because, I mean, Paul won't mind us saying it all. You know, he has cerebral palsy, so struggles to put a sentence together without having to stop and pause between words and things. But when he was speaking in trance, the words just flowed.
Fluent for
It was
for
unbelievable, wasn't it?
for over an
Great
hour.
evidence
He
that you
was
know without question then
speaking
that
with an
absolutely is a
yeah.
guide that's speaking through him.
Yeah.
He was
Terrific
speaking with an
evidence.
Irish
And some of the
accent
evidence
for
that I've seen throughout the
yeah.
years is amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing what can be done.
Yeah.
But do you feel, I mean, there seems to be a lot of questions around mediumship in general at the moment. Do you feel that trance, and maybe, I don't really know whether the physical, but do you feel that it's sometimes open to abuse?
Oh, I don't know. What do you mean abuse?
I don't mean abuse as in like hitting people or anything like that, but do you feel that it can be faked easily?
Possibly.
Yeah. There seems to be a
Possibly.
lot of it about at the moment.
I don't necessarily think though people are faking things on purpose. I think if you look at the vibrations and everything that's going on around at the moment, people are fearful. People are looking for where they fit in. Lots of people have lost their identity. Lots of people have lost family members because it's caused conflict. So I wouldn't necessarily say that people turn to trance in order to delude, but maybe on a subconscious level, their need is quite great at that particular time. And so therefore it might give them a bit of attention. But I can't say that it's done purposely
No,
No.
no,
or maliciously.
no, no. Okay, that's fair enough.
And I think going on from that, there's again with people not even intending to, people believe they're in trance and it's more overshadowing. Would you agree
Yeah.
with that? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you get a lot of that, but that's just because they don't understand the
Yeah.
levels of trance. And the more they sit, maybe the deeper it will go. And then they reflect back a couple of years later and they go, do you know what? I thought I was in a full trance and now I understand it was an overshadowed state.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 And I suppose the more you do this and the more you develop, does it eventually become where the medium's almost asleep and is totally unaware of what they're saying or what's happening?
Um, I think every medium is probably individual on that. So there are great trance mediums out there, and some are always been aware. But the trick is not to interfere. That's the trick. Not to have any connection with that guide and interfere on any level. So, it's literally about multitasking.
Yeah,
Some mediums will sit inside their body and listen to every word that the guide or the communicator has said. You know when it's trance though, because afterwards the student or the trance medium will say, well, I know words were said because I was listening to it, but I can't remember what they were. And then you repeat the words and you go, oh yeah, hang on a minute. And that's simply because you haven't engaged in that conversation internally. You've just sat and you've maybe watched from a distance. But your mind, your memory, has heard the conversation. So then what you're doing is recalling a memory. So that's why it's very vague as well.
yeah, yeah. This is an interesting.
Right.
This is interesting, Joe. Stacey's asking, the longer you do it, I presume she means sitting and developing, the quicker you go into a trance state. Can you clear
No,
this up for us, Joe? Because I
no,
think a lot of people misinterpret what a trance state is.
right, no. The deeper the trance, the longer it takes you to get into that state, no matter how much experience you've got. So, yeah, I mean, some people do think that they go, oh, well, you'll get really quick at doing it. No, you don't. You don't. You know, you will sit in the chair, and if you're going into quite a deep state trance, it takes a few minutes to get there. People think though, oh well, that's just that, you know, it works in reverse. That's not the case at all. If you're in an overshadowed state, that can take a minute. Ooh, I can get to an overshadowed state quite quickly. But if I was working in quite a deep trance state, no, it's a few minutes before, you know, the blending is fully taken. They can't just suddenly rush you. If the guide suddenly rushed that process, it would make you ill.
Yeah.
It would make you physically ill. So, yeah, so no, sorry, whoever asked that question, it's the other way around, my lovely.
Okay, that's interesting. Because the trance state, you know, it's just an altered state, isn't it? But you're still aware of what's going on around you, I suppose, or internally maybe.
Semi. You know, semi-aware. But like I say, the more that the development moves forward and the deeper the blending, you're less aware. You have some sort of awareness, but you're much less aware. You won't be able to recall it. Sometimes I'll come out of a trance state. Maybe I've done one of my red light events over the internet, and I'll come out of a trance state, and everyone's, you know, in the room going, "Oh, great, you know, gosh, that's an hour and a half." I go, "Is that? Well, I've only just sat down, haven't I?" Because you have no concept of time either. So, yeah.
I suppose one way of looking at it would be like when you're driving along and you get 2 miles down the road and you think, oh my God, I don't even remember driving this last bit. That's in a trance state, isn't it, Joe? Is it
You
the
know what,
same
Lisa?
thing?
I have driven from my house near London to Somerset when my parents lived there, 140 miles, and I don't remember 1 minute of that journey, and yet I've got there safely.
Wow.
Freaked me out, absolutely freaked me out. But yeah, it's almost like an altered state rather than a full trance. It's an altered state, but you can't recall it. You
No.
just can't recall it. You go, good God, how did I get here? Oh my God. You know, it's quite spooky.
Yeah. So would that be sort of like semi on the lines of going into a trance, but obviously bringing in spirit with you?
Well, I mean, it's an overshadowing, and they certainly do a good job of keeping you safe, don't they?
Yeah.
Because lots of people have that happen to them, and you know they don't, you know, they don't get injured; they get there safely.
Sure.
One of the ways that trance controls tend to practice with people in an early age is sleepwalking.
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone's got a child that regularly sleepwalks, that's an indicator that they're probably going to be a trance medium or have the ability to become a trance medium if that's what they want to do.
Wow.
But again, if you notice, if you're in a, that's why they say never wake up a child that's walking. Try and guide them back to their bed. But also, a sleepwalker will never injure themselves. I was a prolific sleepwalker when I was a kid. Terrible, nearly every night.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so that's just the guides coming in and practicing and getting you ready for later on in life.
Wow, that's interesting. Paul was saying he witnessed a materialization at an evening of mediumship and a holly leaf appeared at the medium's feet. The message was for the girl next to him and her name was Holly. How fascinating is that?
Like I say, a report should be evidential, and that was.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Wow. So what about circles and stuff? I mean, I know that you've got the online ones, but what courses have you got going on at the moment, Jo?
I'm just finishing a 6-week physical seance, experimental one, over Zoom. But I am quite tough with people that want to go on that course because they have to work incredibly hard to get their rooms blacked out, red light, the same as mine. So I think I drive something to, they go, well, fine, I can do. No, won't do. Sorry, won't do. has to be, as much as we can get it. Obviously, I run the trance circles. I have a psychic development circle on a Tuesday night, which is for mediumship, psychic and mediumship development. So yeah, there's quite a lot going on. Red light events have just started up, and I've got my first live show next month. No, this month. So it's going to be a psychic night with Joe Bradley, but it's with a difference. Don't come and just expect a few messages. It's going to be an interactive one.
And where is this, Joe?
It's High Wycombe, near where I live. High Wycombe in Buckinghamshire. I don't know where your listeners are from, but it should be a good evening. So people will be up and interacting.
Yeah. Very fascinating.
Yeah. Because you were all going all over the world, weren't you? Working all over the world, and then...
Yeah, I'm in the States next year in April. So we're in the USA, teaching trance and physical retreat, which I've organised actually with a co-host, and we run a lot in this country. Obviously, we haven't had any since when this started.
Yeah.
I did work in Cyprus last year as well. So yeah, we've got them planned for France, Spain, America, and obviously the UK. So there are lots of opportunities for people to get out there. And obviously, I have some wonderful tutors. And we have, I don't know if any of your viewers have heard of Marion Jeans. She's a Danish physical medium, very well written on the subject. She's actually the guest in November. I'm running a physical week and I'm running a trance week in Somerset, your neck of the woods, ladies.
Oh,
residential it is. So yeah, so we've got some great tutors, and obviously I'm always tutoring there as well. And we just love the personal contact with people. People come, some people come on their own, others will come with friends, that's fine. By the time they leave though, it's like they're one big family. And everyone stays in contact with each other, they're very supportive. So it's just great. And I really, really, really miss the retreats.
Yeah. Angel was saying it sounds fun, and she'd like details because she's down in Somerset as well. So,
all right, send me a private message, Angel, please, if you can.
Yeah.
And I will send you details.
Stacey is saying if you worked in France or Germany, it wouldn't matter because you can speak the language in trance. Sometimes, I suppose.
Sometimes it would depend who the communicator is.
Yeah.
So, Joe, with transfiguration,
yeah,
would you need to start with that really before you start learning trance, or is it a completely different ball game?
Yes, completely different ball game. Transfiguration is physical mediumship, so it goes with being a physical medium. And the biggest difference is in trance, there's an overlay of energy. So when the guide comes in and blends, you will see like an energy of the person. Transfiguration, they traditionally make a mask out of ectoplasm. So you'll see the ectoplasm coming out. When I do transfiguration, it normally comes out of my mouth. And you will get a mask, and the person pushes their face through that mask. Now the mask can be over your face, or it might be up here, or it might be here. They will put it wherever they feel the best place to put it. I think there's one photo on my timeline where there are three. There's a layer of three. Have you seen that photo?
Yeah.
Where there was three people all fighting over the mask at the same time. And so there was three, and you've got three eyes all in a line going all. It's a bit freaky actually. So yeah, that's traditional transfiguration, but it does go with being a physical medium.
Yeah.
But you've also got pictures where your hands are elongated, haven't you?
Elongation,
and coming out of your neck as well. Yeah.
So what other things fall under the umbrella of physical then?
Say that again.
What other things fall under the umbrella of physical mediumship?
Physical mediumship, so are thoughts,
Yeah.
transfiguration, etherealization, materialization, raps and taps, direct voice, independent direct voice, direct writing, not to be mistaken with automatic writing.
Okay, what's the
There
difference?
is a big umbrella.
Yeah, what's the difference then between direct and automatic writing?
Difference between direct writing and automatic writing.
Yeah,
Automatic writing, your hand is holding the pen
yeah,
and the spirit will move it. Direct writing, you put a piece of paper on the table with a pen on the top, and spirit will manifest a hand, pick up the pen, and write.
yeah.
So it's an ectoplasmic hand that would write it.
I just find physical mediumship so fascinating.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Phenomenal.
There's a great fragility with it, though. People say, or they believe that you can sit in a seance and wonderful evidence will come every time, and that's just not the case.
No.
No seance will be the same, ever, particularly if you've got different people around the table. It's very dependent on getting the energy right. It's very dependent on my health. It's dependent on weather as well, vibrations. There is absolutely no guarantee that you could sit in a seance and anything would occur. The great Leslie Flynn, direct voice medium, no, independent direct voice medium he was, would very often, groups would go, they might sit for an hour, not one voice will get through. And all you can ever do in those types of situations, sorry, it's not happening tonight. But also on the flip of that, it shows that actually it's not fraudulent either.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly, yeah.
So I have had a few seances where I've just had to say to people, sorry guys, not occurring tonight. But then they might come back again and get wonderful evidence.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Have you ever worked down in Devon? Joe, Stacey's asking.
Have I ever worked in Devon?
Yeah.
Don't think so. Somerset is normally as far as I go. And Wales, we work a lot in Wales.
Okay. Well, you might get asked to go and work in Devon, Joe. It's not
Okay,
that
we'll put me a line.
Yeah, brilliant. Oh, brilliant. No, I can't remember what I was going to say. I was going to ask you something. It'll come back to me.
Definitely in my work at the moment, etherealization is one of the things that's pushing forward. Now, etherealization is a very, very, very old form of physical mediumship. So we all know what materialization is, where you have a full form person standing there, as solid as you and I. Etherealization uses a lot less energy. And generally what you will do is you will get like a funnel of energy. So there'll be a funnel here, and you'll see it twirling within it. Generally it will self-light up as well, so you can see it better. And the face will be very significant. Uses a lot less energy, so a lot more forms will be able to get through, so the loved ones can see them. There's a good example of this. I was running a workshop and there's actually 2 etherealizations on the photograph. I don't know if it's at the top of my Facebook page at the moment. If not, people scroll through, they'll see it. And that was at a workshop. So there were two of these etherealized forms in the middle. So we are sort of, a lot of the old ways are sort of coming back at the moment. I mean, obviously, a lot of my mediumship also is very much like Daniel Hume, probably because we're from the same family. But so I wonder, I know that these things get passed down the bloodline. I actually question as well on top of that, is it the same type of evidence, same type of phenomena that the bloodlines would kind of be focused on as well? So it's an interesting point, isn't it?
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, so Joe, going on from that, I mean, I think when people are new to any form of mediumship work, there is a confusion, isn't there? When they come for a reading, they think that, I don't know, we might just see spirit like walking around like we do every single day. They think it's like that.
Yeah.
I'm sure you do. If you saw a spirit physically in the room then, or I don't know, a spirit poked you in the back, is that a form of physical mediumship? or not? Or is that
Depends.
evidence?
It depends whether there's involvement of ectoplasm,
Right, okay.
because it could be that you're sensing it through clairvoyance or through clairsentience.
Yeah, this is where it all gets really complicated, isn't it? To know what
Yeah.
you're...
So that's a particularly difficult question for me to answer, because I work predominantly with the physical.
Yeah.
So, you know, and actually the interesting thing is when I go to bed, my duvet will act as a cabinet.
Oh.
So of course it contains the energy, meaning, you know, I can get a lot of physical stuff that will take place in my bedroom from spirit. That sounds so bad, doesn't it? You know what I mean? Sounds so wrong. But you know what I mean. So if a hand suddenly held my hand, I wouldn't know necessarily if it's a spirit form and they've used, you know, the duvet as a spirit cabinet to manifest a hand, or whether I'm actually sensing it because I'm a medium. So it's a bit of a hard question for me to answer them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing. Stacey wants to ask a question, Joe.
Yeah.
She wants to know, would you understand why when she meditates, she sees eyes, beautiful eyes?
Her third eye is probably open when she's meditating. And when we meditate, of course, we're bringing in that silence. When we're in that silence, we can receive much more easily. So it could be that her third eye is just open all the time. So when she goes into that quiet space to meditate, she's in that zone. We all know that zone, don't we, ladies? When we're doing a mediumship reading, we go to the zone. It's not something that we particularly have to think about when you've been doing it for a long time. But when you're training to use your gifts, we go to the zone. Just find your zone, get your zone, and then you'll receive. So it could be that when she's meditating, she's naturally going to the zone. Her third eye's open, and therefore she's seeing the eyes. Sounds fabulous.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
So, Joe, you mentioned briefly ectoplasm. For those listening that are new to this, what do you mean by the production of ectoplasm? You know what I mean. Sorry if I got
Yeah,
words there.
it's a substance that's drawn from the medium's body,
Yeah.
and it acts like an overcoat for spirit. So, you know, one of your loved ones could walk into the room and they will draw ectoplasm and they literally almost slip it on. It makes them solid in our world. That's what it's, so you can see them or hear them. So ectoplasm is it's a very light sensitive substance. I'm lucky I work in the light. But if I worked in the dark and then we introduced the light, the ectoplasm would then be unstable. This is why a lot of mediums say, oh, you have to work in the dark. Ectoplasm is light sensitive. Yes, it can be, but the scientists behind the scenes, if you're saying, well, I want to carry on working in the light, and they want to work with you as a PM, they start to change it and alter it, and so you can work in the light. But it is very sensitive in other ways. You can't just grab it without it being stabilised. And the interesting thing is, there's a big difference. If a spirit form holds your hand, there is one big difference between someone in the flesh, this side of life, to them. And people say, oh, no fingerprints. Yeah, they do have fingerprints. Oh, well, it'll be knuckles. They don't have knuckles and bones. Yes, they do. And they will click them and flick them to show you. It's actually the touch. Ectoplasm, the touch of a spirit form, feels like wax compared to us. But interestingly, they will still make it the same temperature as body temperature. So in every other respect, a materialized form with ectoplasm will be the same as all of us. Okay, but when you touch them, they're waxy. They feel waxy.
Wow.
And that's because ectoplasm isn't the living skin. It's only a substance that they draw. Yes, it is a living substance, but not in the same way that skin is.
Yeah. And where does it go once the session's over then, this
Some
ectoplasm?
of it
So I know
just
there's different
dissipates.
theories on this, isn't there, that
All
you
right.
should take it
Some of
back
it
in.
dissipates, yeah. Some will withdraw back in, and a lot will dissipate.
Yeah.
Is it true that I can't remember how many he said, but I remember a medium saying that ectoplasm was very rare and only one in so many
Oh, yeah.
thousands or millions of people can produce ectoplasm.
It is true.
That is true.
Well, no, most people will produce it, but not in the quantity that makes you a physical medium. So I asked my guides this question many years ago, and they said approximately 1 in every 100,000 born will have the physicality to, for the production of ectoplasm, to the quantity needed. Of that 1 in every 100,000, you might get some that are absolutely terrified. Oh, I'm not going anywhere near it. It terrifies me. You might get others that were brought up in a very, very strict religious background, and that, I can't. It's against my religion. We're not allowed to go anywhere near it. And you will get others, complete atheists. When you're dead, you're dead. So they're never going to investigate it anyway because they don't believe in what we do. So that will again cut the numbers down drastically.
That's interesting because you've answered a question, because I was going to ask, for like 1 in every 100,000 people that have this, I was going to ask whether they've assigned and agreed to have that in this life to use it, but obviously that's not the case. Maybe they don't know they have it.
I don't know that answer. I haven't asked that actually. I mean, yes, we agree to a certain point. I think a lot of what we're coming here to do, especially if you've been given a special mission. But I think we don't have any memory anyway, and maybe you haven't actually chosen the circumstances of the family unit you're going to be joining. I think it's a good question. It's a debate question.
Yeah. Yeah.
A debate
Is
question.
Some people, again, I don't know if it's a myth, say it's harmful to re-ingest, is that a word? The ectoplasm, like take it back in. It's dangerous.
Choice. It just goes back in.
Yeah.
It can be unhealthy if you have held a seance in a room that's not been cleaned. So, for instance, you've got paper clips on the floor, or there's, I don't know, whatever. Because bear in mind, ectoplasm will come back and it will pick up things. So your insides could probably end up with, a paper clip or a staple or whatever it is. So from that, you have to be a little bit careful.
Mm.
I mean, it might be a good way to eat chocolate. That's what I thought. I like chocolate. Sprinkle a bit of chocolate around on the floor. Might be
a couple of jelly babies or something. That'd be fine.
Yeah.
Stacey's heard that it can leave burn marks on your body. I've heard that too, and it's not true.
Absolutely can. I've been burnt twice.
Have you?
I have. And the first time I had a big burn across my eyebrow, where it was in the early days where ectoplasm was being drawn. At that time, they were taking it from my tear duct, and it used to come out in like long, like it used to move like a whip. And generally, you will never be hurt by your spirit team. It's normally people in the room. And without meaning to be rude, but I know everybody will understand this, people are idiots. How many times have you said an instruction and people can't follow an instruction? And I was hurt. Someone pulled back the cabinet curtain. Of course, I'd sit in red light anyway, but red light on in the room so people can see what's going on. Pulled the curtain back too quick, and literally the ectoplasm shot back in, and it slashed me across my eyebrow. And it was horrendous. Yeah, so I got a burn. Then I had another burn on my solar plexus. Yeah.
Because that's what happened, so they say, to Helen Duncan, wasn't it?
Yeah. She received burns and internal injuries, yeah, which she didn't recover from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tony Stockwell talks about the times where he's had it in the palms of his hands through healing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is a real substance, and it can really give you an injury, which is why you have to be so safety conscious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why some people are, you know, for some seances, maybe they're searched or they're vetted. You know, I mean, I suppose you have to be really careful who you have sitting as your guests. You don't want just random strangers you've never met before, because, I mean,
Yeah.
how much responsibility have the sitters got, Jove?
Oh, huge responsibility. You know, literally, it could be, you know, you're putting your safety in their hands. Slightly different for us. We don't really vet people, but we don't do public seances. You know, it would be really by private invitation only to my home, and so from that respect, um, people come, they get given a talk as well if they've never been before. And but the beauty of it is because I've done it for so long, I don't sit in a cabinet anymore. I sit in the room with all of you. So there'll be a red light. And if there is generally something on someone, the guide will very quickly speak through me and call them out.
Right.
So, you know, they'll say, you have so and so in your pocket. Or they may not necessarily say, you know, Lisa, you come in with. Literally, I've known the guide say to the circle leader, Terry, you need to close this circle because we have a sitter that has not emptied their pockets, for instance. And so, you know, so from that respect, that's good. I think Helen Duncan was warned by her team on the fateful day that she shouldn't sit and hold the seance because they knew that, you know, she was going to get injured, but she overrode that, you know, that message. Said, no, it'll be fine, carried on. So, and if I get an uneasy feeling about anybody now, just going, I'm sorry, you're not coming in, you know, and that's not me about me being judgmental, but I'll just get a feeling, and that feeling is there for a reason.
Mm.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Mm. Gosh, fascinating. And are there any plans of books, Joe? I think you should write a book.
Yeah.
I've already written two.
Have you?
Oh,
Yeah, I've written two. Yeah. Well, Norman Hunt, actually, an ex-scientist, he investigated my work and then co-wrote a book with me. And then I wrote the second book myself. I've been writing the third book for about 4 years. I haven't finished it, about halfway through, because literally time just gallops on. So the first book is called Spirit and the Physical, which people can buy on Amazon, and it's by Norman Hutt. The second book is called Pathway to Spirit, which is the book that I wrote on my own. And that's charts development, and at the back it will give you a guide as well. I wrote a guide for people on how to set up a circle. The things, you know, I've used my own experiences. This is pitfalls, and this is what we changed, and this is what we had to do. So people can read it, and if they don't like the guidance, they don't have to follow it. They just go, actually, that bit doesn't resonate with me, but I think I'll do that. That's fine. We're all unique, so what works for me won't necessarily resonate with everybody else. And that's also on Amazon to be bought, and that's literally by Joe Bradley. And then I'm writing The Weird and the Wonderful. And The Weird and the Wonderful is just a compilation of all different experiences, mostly to do with physical, but not in every case. And I take the readers on a bit of a journey, because I might write one chapter and it's like, oh my God, oh my God, you know. And then the next chapter they'll read and they go, oh, that's so lovely. Then they'll read the next, oh my God. And I've probably done it on purpose like that, because that's my sense of humour. But every single word that is in all three of the books is absolute truth. You know, none of it has been written just to get the readers going. Although I have, like I say, chosen to put In the Weird and the Wonderful in the order that, so I've got the readers going up, down, up, down, up, down. Because that's how I feel sometimes, you know. I wake up sometimes and I go, who am I going to be today? I don't know. I know we did a red light table tilting event, which people can just buy tickets and come to, which is what we're doing later on in the month, actually. But we had one event where I was being overshadowed quite a lot, and I was sort of saying to the I'm going down, I'm going down. She went, yeah, it's fine, go. And through the physical, I grew long, shaggy dog ears. But through the trance, I was panting because this dog had come through, which to onlookers, they go, oh my God, they think that it's just always going to be humans. But that's not the case. Animals will come through. We've had an owl that manifested and was, you know, flying around the seance room. We've had, my son is a physical medium as well. And when he came in and sat with me, we had a cart horse materialise. I was like, oh, God, I can't cope with this, you know. So animals do manifest as well. It's not just limited to people.
And what about extraterrestrials?
What about what?
Extraterrestrials or species from other realms, anything like that ever?
Well, no, but I'll tell you why. That would be partly my own mindset.
Right, okay.
Not that I'm saying, you know, that there aren't life on other planets. But the problem that we have is that no one can actually prove that there's aliens walking around. So we can only assume, you know, what an alien might look like. And my focus of my mediumship has always got to be evidence-based. The evidence has always got to stand up for itself. So, okay, we might get a little alien come in the seance room, but nobody knows it. And so what would be the idea of that? We can't prove that it is an alien just because it comes in and goes nano, nano. See what I mean? So
Yeah.
the evidence that I've always kind of focused on has to be evidential for the people that are there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, if we suddenly get aliens popping up all over the place and, you know, someone says, well, this is my Uncle Alien. Oh, hello, Uncle Alien. We've met it. It's provable. And then as we move forward, if Uncle Alien dies and then manifests in the seance room, then that's fine. That's evidential. So I don't say, you know, I know that there's aliens because we get a lot of ships over here, which makes me nervous. But we can't say this is what an alien looks like. So that's where I kind of focus.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah. And I suppose they wouldn't need to, I don't want to say bombard, but they wouldn't need to come through in a seance room, would they, Joe? They've got plenty of other ways of making themselves known, so...
I would think so.
Yeah. And I just want to go back to the table tipping. Now, this is something I've been thinking about for a couple of weeks. Could I sit on my own with a table and just sit with my hands on the table and just see what happens? Yeah. Can that be done with one energy, or again, do you need a group?
If it's a small table, obviously the more energy, the more people around the table, the better the results probably would be. There's absolutely no reason why you can't sit with a little table, as long as you set your intention. So I say to people, always set your intention and speak it out loud. Hello, Lord, God, Divine Spirit, however you want to address the other side. And also, when I'm sitting to do any type of work, I always speak to the other side and address them as friends. Whenever I run any courses, hello friend, thanks for coming. One of my biggest pet hates, and it's just me being probably stroppy, is when people are in a group and they go, "Hello, spirit, are you there?"
Yeah.
Because we have to extend love on every level. And I just find that such an impersonal welcome. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's probably just me being a little bit stroppy. But I always sort of say, "Hello, friend. You know, who are you then? Come on in." Rather than, "Oh, hello, spirit."
Yeah.
Because the thing is, we're all spirit. We're just having the human existence at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's very impersonal. That's what I find.
Yeah. Cool. So it could take years, couldn't it, Joe? But I could sit here with that intention and just try it and see what happens.
Absolutely.
A friend of mine, to be fair, in a group setting once with table tipping, it was such good fun. She just, this spirit just really took to her, and she ended up doing it all by herself, even though there was all of us stood there. So I suppose it just depends, doesn't it, on the strength of the energy, and
Yeah, it does.
like any tool.
Also, the mindset that don't have any expectation, but don't also start off with, "Oh, this probably isn't going to work," because you're sending out the negative vibe then.
Yeah.
So you just say, "Friends, do your best. Going to put my hands on. Anyone here? You know, move the table for me." And that's, you know, type of the mindset that you need with it. But make sure, obviously, you open and close with a prayer, because we always do everything with safety.
Yeah.
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 Would it maybe feel like a bit of a vibration in your fingertips to start with?
Yeah.
Because I get that when I put my hands on the bed, when I'm about to, because I practice out of body work. And when I put my hands flat on the bed, I automatically start feeling vibrations in the mattress. It's very strange. So it'd be the same sort of thing, I suppose. Right, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Interestingly, when you finish table tilting, if you've had like a successful session, when you put your hands together, they feel like wax.
Do they?
Wow.
Oh, how fascinating. I can't wait to try this.
Yeah. So take note.
Yeah.
Take note of that.
Yeah. Angel is asking me if I feel the energy building. I don't. I just automatically just feel like a vibration, Angel, in my hands. It doesn't get any more than that until I've actually fallen asleep and then go into the vibrational state, and there's no getting away from that. You know, it's really intense. You know, whether it's loud sounds or humming or buzzing in my head or even like electric vibrations going all through me. It depends on my state of consciousness at the time of having the
No,
experience.
she says, no, you do feel the energy when table tipping.
I don't know, Angel, because
No,
I've
she's
been
saying
doing
you've
it.
misread her comment. Angel's initial comment, you do feel the energy when table tipping.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Where are we? Oh, Joe mentioned prayer. Is it a Christian or other type of prayer, Joe?
Well, I'm a spiritualist, so I do believe in God, obviously. But you just have to speak from your heart. So, you know, if I was doing table tilting, I'd probably say, "Divine Spirit, we've joined here to try and communicate with you through table tilting. Keep us loved and protected. Thank you, amen." That's it. Very basic. I never waste energy saying extra words. What's the point? Straight to the point, always. And then obviously, you know, give thanks afterwards. Even if it hasn't worked, always give thanks anyway afterwards. Always seal the deal with amen. Always. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you believe, Joe, that, you know, table tilting or maybe a spirit board or Ouija board, whatever you want to call it, potentially you can experience negative entities? Or is it down to, see, this is where I get a bit frustrated with all this. I really believe, and tell me if you think I'm wrong, I really believe it's down to the individual's conscious makeup as to what they're going to experience.
It's your mindset, yeah.
It
It's
is,
strength,
isn't
isn't it? If you're sitting there with the intention of bringing in something dark, then you're going to attract something dark. But most of us actually just want to communicate with our loved ones or with guides. So your intention is to connect with that. And you can also put that into your little prayer. You know, divine spirit, we want to only connect with those that are stepping forward with love. So it's all about your words and your intentions and your mindset.
because I often wonder whether, you know, our spirit friends are using our energy to get that glass moving on the board.
Well, they have to.
So
Part of
it
your
is
energy. They have to.
somebody.
You're the medium on the physical plane.
Yeah. They do actually make someone move their hand to start with.
No, not like you would imagine it, but they're still they're harvesting the energy of the person who's touching the glass or the plancher. So maybe it's a small amount of ecto, who knows? Certainly when you're doing table tilting, are they coating our hands with ecto? Is that why they feel like wax afterwards? How does your finger feel after you've taken it off of a plancher or a glass? Does that feel waxy? Who knows? It's about taking real note of what's going on around you. You know, don't miss the small details.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of myths, isn't there, around spirit boards? I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh no, you shouldn't use them." I mean, at the end of the day, do you agree? They're just a tool. You know,
Just a
there's
piece of wood.
nothing
Just a
scary
piece of
about them.
wood. Yeah. Message boards are no more dangerous than picking up a pack of tarot cards.
Yeah, it's just a
It's
tool.
the user of the board. It's the user of the cards. If the person using them has got good intention, then you're fine. What I would say to people is, obviously, when you're using a message board, it's not a game, and so they have to take it seriously. No alcohol before doing it, no recreational drugs. But we wouldn't really sort of participate in those types of things if you were doing a tarot card reading, would you?
No.
So the safety is the same. One other thing, though, to do with safety is I would put the board and the plancher away separate, keep them separate. Some people have been a little bit freaked out, but they've left the board out, they've left the plancher on the top, and the energy in the room has built up. And so the plancher has moved a bit and it's freaked them out. And then, oh, I've got bad energy, the plancher's moved. That's not the case at all. So always keep the board and the plancher separate.
Yeah.
When not used.
I wonder why. Is it just because of that residual energy?
Just to build up in the energy in the room. Everything is energy, so the walls will absorb any spare energy. So any energy sitting around that the people in the spirit will use, they'll just use it. You know, emotions. Also, some people have got telekinetic energy, like the film Carrie. If people get over emotional, particularly goes with teenagers, really, they're hormonal, they get over emotional, they get angry really quick, or they start to cry overwhelmed with tears, they don't know why. And literally, they can stomp around a house, can't they? I remember when my kids were teenagers, flipping nightmare, right? They'd stomp about and they'd be throwing out all this energy and, you know, here, and you'd be, oh, for God's sake, calm down. But it's that type of energy that actually can force things to move as well. So that's not a spiritual thing, not as in sitting in a seance room, but we are spirit. So the energy that comes from us, spirit is still impacting on that, but it's from someone living, not someone who's passed.
Yeah. And I suppose that's the same as with poltergeist activity, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some poltergeists are real. A lot, though, will be just because you've got hormonal teenagers, or maybe just an unhappy house. maybe mum and dad row all the time. And so you've got this confliction in the house and that energy builds. Poltergeist, though, means noisy ghost. People think of a poltergeist, oh my God, you know, they think of all these movies, don't they? Because Hollywood and all of that, you know, made feature films that are poltergeist and really scary horror. Poltergeist, literally, noisy ghost. That's all it is.
So, Joe, going on from that, if you lived in a house where, like you say, there's that bad energy because of the people that have lived there and what they've created, is that where you could then be open to getting bad things on a Ouija board and things like that?
Possibly.
Yeah.
And I suppose the people that move into that house or that environment potentially, if they were sensitive, might pick up on that.
Yeah. A lot of people when they move in, you know, aren't sensitive. They just move in, and you have to remember though, it's your attitude when you move in, your own family unit. If your family unit is loving and calm, then the energy will start to change anyway. But if you go in and you've got teenagers, it can actually add to that energy, and then that's when people go, I've got a poltergeist. Oh my God, lots of things are happening. Or I think I'm being possessed. Or, you know, so you have to look at the family. So if you've got called out to a case, the place that you start is the family unit. So, you know, it can be a little bit intimidating where a medium goes in and you say to the mum, sorry, I don't mean to be rude, but just need to ask a few questions. Have you got any teenagers? Are they hormonal and, you know, emotional, angry? Is everything okay between you and your husband or partner? I'm not being nosy, but you have to look sometimes at where the problem is actually just being kind of exaggerated because there's something going on.
Yeah.
How would that stop? Would that just stop when the teenagers stop being hormonal, or?
Yeah, it can do. I mean, if it's you know a very stable home and there isn't lots of raised voices, the energy will dissipate quite quickly anyway. It becomes neutral and then it will change. You go to look at a house, what is it they say? First 13 seconds walking through the door, you know whether you like the house or not. But you've only got into the hallway at this stage, so you haven't seen any other room. But you go, oh, I like this house, it's got a nice feel. And that's why. You're sensing the energy that's built up in the wall.
Yeah. Do you think that a lot of, you know, I believe that all of this energy in a house or any building, anywhere, is almost recorded and stored in the walls and things. And maybe 100 years' time, somebody might hear a voice, you know, it could be they walk into this room where I am and hear us talking, you know, or a flash of it. Because the energy.
Well, that's why. One of the other questions, if someone's got a problem at home, one of the other questions that I would be saying is, have you knocked any walls down recently? Done any renovation work? Because if you imagine you move into a house, you don't strip the wallpaper, but you might paint over the top. So you've sealed that energy in. Your energy then is on that new wall covering. So buildings absorb all the different layers of energy.
Yeah.
So if you go knock a wall down that's got all these layers that have been sealed in, you're releasing all of that energy. And so therefore you can get activity start then.
Yeah. And maybe some
haunting.
haunting.
Will it pick it up? Will it stop? No, you've released it. No.
Yeah. Would you say maybe some hauntings potentially are what we call these energy recordings?
Yeah, I think so sometimes.
Yeah.
Most hauntings, though, really aren't hauntings. Most of the time it's someone in the house has had an experience that they couldn't understand, and maybe it wasn't a spiritual one at all, but then they've got freaked out. Then their imagination adds to it. So, you know, you've got this constant battle then, it's going around and around. They get more and more fearful, which then will make the energy worse anyway. So it can be a bit of a cycle.
Yeah. No. Gosh.
Mm.
But it's not a dangerous thing to do though, Joe, is it? Trance or physical mediumship in any way?
No, not at
No.
all.
No. No.
No.
It's
I mean,
down
yes, I've had a couple of burns, but I'm still here. Providing safety is in place, your intention is positive, you want to only connect really with those that are coming forward because they love us or they love someone in the group. No, it's fine.
Wonderful. And you're available for private bookings as well, are you, Joe? Yeah.
I do private one-to-one tutoring, I do readings. Yeah. Or I do group bookings as well.
And people just head over to your page and they can contact you that way? Yeah.
Yeah, I think on my Facebook page. They can also, if they send a friend request, they'll be able to access all the photos then as well. I've got a lot of photos on there of spirit that's been photographed. Me doing trance work or me doing transfiguration. And obviously we have the etherealization picture on there as well. There is also somewhere a video of the ectoplasmic voice box that was part manifesting during the video, and that was filmed in white light, so they'll be able to see that as well.
Oh, and that's what I don't think I've seen that one. I'll have to
No, I don't think I have.
Yeah, yeah.
Excellent. Have we?
Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been absolutely fascinating as always, and we've learnt so much, as you can tell by the comments.
I love talking to you two ladies because you're so grounded. You're both really gifted, but you're very grounded as well.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. You can only ever be you, can't you, at the end of the day? It's
yeah. Definitely about sharing information, isn't it? We learn it and we share it.
Oh God, yeah. And we'll never stop learning for as long as we're here.
No. And beyond.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So again, thanks for joining us, Joe. We will be back here tomorrow night, Lisa and I, with our guest Indigo Amy, who's watching tonight. Hi, Amy. And that'll be our night of free readings. And just to let you all know, that will be our last one, because we will be moving on to different projects. So please join us tomorrow night between 7:30 and 8:30 for the readings, and if you'd like one, as always, comment. And next Wednesday we are having a week off for a well-deserved holiday, but we'll be back here the following week. So have a fabulous week, everybody, and stay safe and stay well. Thank you for joining us.
Brilliant. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Take care, everyone. Stay safe.